The vaccine stocks currently for the government have doubled in the month of November, and government at the moment is still undecided over whether or not an additional booster shot should be given out, to whom it should be given out as well. Arvind joins us for the very latest on this. Arvind, we talk about this. India is mulling over a booster shot at a time when several countries have already done this. At the moment, what exactly is the hang-up that the government has? It is just the availability of stocks, or is there something more?
So now let's first look into the availability of vaccine stock. The vaccine stock available across the country has doubled in November when you compare it with the October. If you could take the November 3rd week of average data, that shows that across the country with the states have somewhere around 21.66 crore of COVID vaccine doses. If you could compare the same data with the corresponding period in October, that is in the October 3rd week, the states had the availability of vaccine stock of somewhere around 10.85 crore. From 10.85 crore in October 3rd week to 22 crore, almost 22 crore in November 3rd week. That is, the availability has doubled. So this is very important when you see it in the context of the current demand for a booster or an additional dose. So in that particular context, we did speak to some of the senior government officials regarding the demand for the booster or the additional dose. For which what we are getting to hear from our sources that the expert group, that is the National Expert Group on Vaccine Administration for COVID, is likely to have a meeting this week. In this particular meeting, the group will be discussing on the need for an additional dose or the third dose. What we are also being told is that the committee will be the group which is the apex expert group regarding the giving recommendation to the government on the vaccine policy. What we are being told is that in this particular meeting, the group will be discussing on the need for the additional dose for the immunocompromised population. So that will be the important point that will be discussed in this particular meeting. Like you mentioned, there has been several demand for the third dose because many countries have already started. But what we are also being told by our sources is that any decision or any policy for the third or additional dose will be only science based, will not be purely because that we have more additional stock of vaccine available. In the context, if we could see the number like we are reporting, the vaccine availability has nearly doubled in November when you compare it with the October. But what our sources are saying is that it won't be just the availability that will be taken into consideration, but based on the science that the government will be taking a final call on this additional dose of vaccine. Also, very importantly, what we are also being told is that in this meeting, a final discussion will be held on this particular expert, and then a recommendation will be placed before the government.
Right, but Arvind, when you say third dose for immunocompromised to be discussed, does that mean people with comorbidities? What about healthcare workers and frontline workers who continue to be exposed and got their shot pretty early on?
Yeah, Sonal, if we could compare it with countries like America, US, where they have called it as a booster dose, and they have gone even for the healthy people, including the healthcare workers, frontline workers. But what the terminology that our sources are using or are stressing here is that they are calling it as an additional dose or the third dose for the immunocompromised. What they are saying is that there has to be a science whether this particular booster dose for a healthy people or a frontline worker is actually needed or not. Because what they are saying is that it's not just the availability of vaccine that we have to think of this particular moment. We also have to look about the science, whether this is actually needed or not. That's why they are saying is that maybe the immunocompromised people, they might need an additional dose or the third dose. But is that needed for everyone? Is that something that the government is still not convinced? Because according to our sources, the current focus of the government is to vaccinate the adult population as per the target, because government had set a very big target of vaccinating the entire adult population, that is around 98 crore people, vaccinating the entire 98 crore adult population by the end of this particular year. Nowhere the government can meet this particular target. So that's why the government is now saying that their focus still remains to vaccinate the adult population with both the doses, and then they would be thinking about vaccinating the immunocompromised people. So for now, the government focus is to vaccinate the entire adult population by the end of this year, or as per the target.
I see. So that all important meeting where that decision will be taken is going to happen on the 18th of November. That's the expert group on vaccine administration. That's when they will be meeting. So we wait to see how that comes about as well. That's the information coming in.